And here we are with Senor Neale. How you doing, my friend? How you getting on?
Good, cheers, man. Good, yeah.
Another year wiser. Here we are. So now I've been watching through a lot of your fights in preparation for this, and there's one thing I wanted to ask: the armbar against Robbie. Was it Robbie? No, Robbie Knox on a different podcast, different person. Robbie Scott. That's the one. Composure in that position. How do you build that? Because that's not me. That's fuck. How do you get composed when that sort of thing's happening? Talk to me.
That was interesting to be honest, because we knew Robbie was a striker, and then he shot in, and we was like, "Hey," and then he took me down, and I was even more confused. And then he got me in an armbar, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" And I was just, yeah, it was like, "Yeah, no, this isn't happening. I'm not. No. The armbar's my thing. I'm not having this." And yeah, it was just grit, determination, and being in front of my coach telling me, "Do not tap, or else you're not coming back."
There is an element of this. It's like my friend told me this in training. If you say to yourself, single legs don't work, and like, nah, it's not going to work. It's not even think it's arrogance. Like, nah, fuck this. I'm not going to. Nah, it's beginner stuff. I'm fine. You watch your defense, fucking.
Yeah. Well, we had planned for a stand-up brawl because I wanted to try and stand with him because that was his strength. I was like, cool, we're gonna stand and bang. And then he shot in. I was like, oh, all right, then. Apparently we're grappling. Cool. I just loved the fact of that fight. Their commentators have no idea who I am.
Yeah, literally, I was like, okay, that's a bit rude. At least have some notes, pretend like
Yeah.
I've been courtesy.
And they're there like, oh, yeah, he's gonna tap. Oh, he's escaped, and he's got him in a choke, which appears. Oh, and he's won. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, that's the fight.
Moving on swiftly.
Yeah.
But this is kind of it though, because then you've done like IMAF and stuff, and again, it's not like your debut fight. They had stuff to research. They could have made half an effort, but that's another thing in itself.
Yeah, I've been in this game a while now.
I mean, this is sort of the point. This is also why you're on the podcast, because again, there's stuff to talk about, experience to sort of pick out and well. Now, one thing I wanted to really get into is fight training versus general training. Do they differ much, or is it business as usual?
With mine, not particularly. I like to train at a good tempo all the time. Listen to my injuries, listen to everything else when I need to rest. When it's fight time, that's when we start tweaking things. We start making it fight specific, adding a few extra sprints and stuff like that. Up the cardio just to lose the weight. But yeah, my main training is just I just crack on with the training, get my jiu-jitsu in, get my wrestling, striking, and then we tweak it to who I'm fighting. If we know someone's got a power right hand, I'm going to make sure I keep away from it. And that's all it is, really. And we're a bit more structured with the sparring. So if I know someone's taller than me, I'm fighting, I'm going to try and spar people that are taller than me. Otherwise, it's just whoever's free to spar, we spar.
So I like where we're going with this. So structured sparring, is that more very opponent specific stuff? Obviously, it's about the opponent being taller than you, bring like that. Is it more them replicating what this, emulating the sort of style you're getting, coming across, again, the power right hands, for example, exaggerate things there, or is it just general? Like how do you make it more specific as such?
It's a bit of both. So some rounds, what we do is more technical sparring will be my opponent sort of like, if we know he's going to try and blast double or something like that, that's what my opponent's going to try, and that's what my sparring partner's going to do. But when it comes to like just like normal sparring rounds, then it's more trying to get people my own size, people my own weight sort of thing, rather than just whoever's in the gym at that time. I'll make the effort, travel around to whoever I can get to that's my size. Because otherwise I'm training and sparring with guys that are like 75, 80 kilos. And that's just my sparring partners because that's who's at the gym. So fight time, I want to get it a bit more realistic to who I'm fighting sort of thing.
I mean, definitely makes sense because again, like as much as yes, the guys you come against won't be as strong and big and such, but you get injuries again. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just an extra 13, 14 kilos you don't want like on top of you.
The other thing is the cutting the distance and stuff like that. They're bigger, taller, they're going to have more reach. So it's harder then for me to judge the reach of someone smaller because I'm not used to it. I'm thinking I'm out of range when I'm like miles away from them, sort of thing. Or yeah, I'm going to get hit, but in fact, I'm actually miles away because I'm used to those guys with ridiculously long arms.
That might be me as well, long-legged Mac Daddy, but here we are. With that, I think another thing gets misconstrued a little bit is the fighting style. Like stylistically, like yes, they won't be as strong, but sort of speed-wise, like you watch like flyweights fight, man.
Oh
It's
yeah,
is this not I think like the Flash, like Sonic, goes around the circle like, really fucking quick, man. It's chaos. Like,
I'm
where do you
looking
think
at some of those guys, and I'm just like, calm yourselves down.
literally it's like
Just,
oh, we got
just
all day. We've got like another like 5,
yeah,
10, 15 minutes. Just enjoy it, savor it.
chill out.
Don't rush. Yeah,
Yeah,
just chill out, man.
yeah.
Just enjoy it. This is it. But anyway, with your main sparring partners, then are they the same kind of groups? Because again, when it comes to going out of house, you run the risk of potential opponents. Like, how do you find balancing that out?
Well, it's one of the big issues you have in this area is all the little guys spar with each other because there's not many little guys about. So there was a group that I was going to a while ago where we had Sam Creasy, Tom Creasy. I'm losing names off the top of my head now. The Mearns brothers would be there. Some other guys from BST. We're all that similar way, so we'd all train together. But then you're crossing gyms over. But it's what it is. It's kind of business.
So you kind of have to, you have to kind of accept what it is. Like prime example, Sam, like he comes over and trains with us every now and then at BS2, but every now and then he'll go up to like Fearless or whatever else.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but sounds all nice and fun now. But Jake Cowley's the champion, Sam Creasy #1 contender.
Yeah.
Now what?
It's what it is. For my pro debut, there was talk about me fighting someone that I used to train with, and my coach said to me, "Oh, well, you two are friends, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah, we're friends, but this is business. It's got nothing to do with our friendship. It's more that we both need a pro debut. There's not many of us out there, so you just got to fight. That's all it is."
Now that answers that question quite nice. I'm going to go on the front of fighting someone you train with. Now with that, how much emphasis would you put on the previous experience you've had with them, saying, "Oh, when we used to spar, this used to work," or is it a fresh sort of look on it, like a fresh canvas?
Now that depends on how recently I trained with them. Because obviously, like, there's some guys haven't trained within like 2 years. They've gone to a different gym. They could have got levels ahead. But at the same time, I've got to know where my strengths was in those sparring sessions. So if I know if I can get him on his back, he's not getting back up. Then that's a belief I've got to still have. That if I get into trouble with the striking, I can take him down, recompose, and figure out where I need to go. Or vice versa. Like if I know if he gets on top of me, that's it. I'm not getting back up. I have to do everything I can to make sure I stuff that takedown and sprawl. So I guess it's a mixture of everything. There's a lot of variabilities in it.
I mean, that's kind of the nature of this. This is why it gets interesting trying to understand how you would plan for something with so many variables. And regards of the transition into pro, like where do you feel that level change in your own development was to make that transition? What was it, opponents? Was it just your development? Where did you feel was that point?
So yeah, the decision about going pro, it's more of I've been in this sport 10 years now. Had 18 amateur fights from Japan to Singapore, all over the place. And the only other place I've got to go is pro. It's like waking up to do 5 a.m. sprints for an amateur fight doesn't give me that fire anymore. But knowing that this is pro, this record is going to stick with me forever. Yeah, that lights the fire that you want to train. You want to get up that little bit earlier and put the training in. Also, like I said, I've been doing this a while. I've had a lot of fights now. I want to get paid. But I've got too many injuries knocking around to be doing this for free. Or, in the case of IMAF, paying to do it.
And then some. I mean, there's so much in that. I mean, we just dropped in there Singapore and Japan. We'll get there in a minute. That's fine. We'll go into that. But there's a lot in that I really like. And Dean James had a similar philosophy that if he isn't scared by a fight, he won't take it. Like again, if you know a fight is winnable, you might take a round off in spar and you might, yeah, I'm gonna get pizza tonight, be all right. If there's someone you think shit, he might knock me out.
Yeah.
You're up at half forward in your sprints, you're getting extra ones, and you're like, fuck, okay, let's make sure I'm all the T's and the I's, the cross, and all the rest of it. I mean, regards of the way you're training now changes accordingly, where's going to be the biggest transition?
It's that pace that you was talking about.
Mm.
It's over 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes. 2 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but shit, it's a long time.
Mm.
Yeah, and especially if you've got some of these guys that, like I said, just need to calm down a little bit. Yeah, you need to get those sprints in. You need to get that extra little bit of cardio so you can push. So for me, it's getting used to the 5 minute rounds and sparring. Knowing that when I get to the floor, I can use my jiu-jitsu a little bit more. I don't have to rush. I can take my time setting up the jiu-jitsu. You haven't got to rush to get to your strengths. And then you've got the other rule changes like the leg locks. You can use the elbows now. How can I incorporate those into my game that I've already got? So it's a lot of tweaking, messing around, and seeing what works in sparring and seeing what works for you. Just trying to put it all together. But for me, it's mainly making sure I can keep a good, solid pace for 3-5s.
I mean, there's a lot in that that's really interesting, how it's the pacing as well, because it's not, okay, the 3 minute pace I had, I'm going to maintain that. No, yes and no. It depends on the opponent, depends on what you want to do. And again, it's how you then apply that. And the real question with this is more the training changing, because obviously on fight day, you'll throw your elbows, you throw your knees to the head, happy days, but you do it in sparring, you won't have any mates anytime soon. So it's then how you then, I don't know, apply the new habits to new options and how you then add that into your arsenal. What's the sort of, I don't know, the way you'd emulate that and be able to adapt to it?
Well, for me, it's a lot of, I say, like very technical sparring sort of thing. So you're flowing, you're moving around, but nothing's going to hurt anyone. So it's sort of like you like a warm up round or a cool down round. I'm more messing around with technique. So I'm using the techniques I'd normally do. I can throw elbows where it's nice and controlled, where no one's going to get hurt, sort of thing. And then I can see what they're going to do to defend it. I can shoot in and stuff like that, use the knees to the head to control, and no one's going to get hurt. And then when I can keep that in the back of my head for when we're doing full sparring, I know, okay, from the technical rounds we did, I can do this in this position. So that's more the way I think about it, really.
So with it comes to your structure and your training, and again, these sort of decisions and then applying this, who is your sort of head coach for this? Is it more an internal thing? You starting to be proactive with your training? Is it a coach leading this? How does this get managed?
Well, I've always, for a long time now, I've been my own coach and I've floated around to a lot of different places. I've had my main jiu-jitsu coach, I've had striking coaches, but as for MMA, I was sort of like just putting it all together myself. And now at the minute, I'm with Banbury Martial Arts Centre.
Shout out, Gav.
Well,
Ooh,
was. Yeah.
Give
politics right there. So yeah, Stu's like the head coach right now. He puts it together. And it's more of a teamwork with me and him, of looking at opponents, getting his view on it, getting my view on it, and formulating something together. So I don't really have someone that tells me you're doing this, and this. It's more we'll sit down, watch some video, and have a talk with each other about what we think the best game plan is. And then I'm working with other people. Well, yeah, I'm going to be starting working with other people for my strength and condition and stuff like that. So it's one less thing for me to worry about.
Now, when you say about less things to worry about, the fact you're taking your own sort of coaching role in this, obviously you're getting guidance from Stu and everything else, but more so the weight of the world on your shoulders anyway, having a fight, but then having to manage everything else. What's been the reason for this main, I don't know, what's what I'm looking for? Your own proactive coaching role as such?
Well, like I said, my first coaches, they retired, and there was nowhere really close for me to train. There was training in Oxford, where there was, at the time, it was Mark Weir, who was teaching in Oxford. But it was getting there, working it around college and stuff. And then it was finding regular training partners. So I was training with Sam Creasy quite a lot, going up to his place to train. So for quite a while, I've had to do it myself, like find cornermen sort of thing to help me with fights. And it was just trying to study things myself and having chats with Sam. He was a massive help for me of saying whether it's a smart decision or a bad decision to take the fight. Yeah, you just gotta. I like to not be in control, but to have a say what's going on. I don't like just be ordered around and say, "Yeah, you're doing sprints today," and no questions asked.
Okay, I like that a lot more than I thought I did. Because initially, when you hear people who are independent or do their own thing, you think, okay, you go hit pads on your own in the garden and you see how you got with your fight. But no, a bit more, okay, I've got a foundation of what I've built up. I've got people who I'm reflecting things off, asking questions. Again, Sam and Tom are both good for this. They will tell you the truth. So just remember what you're.
It was very interesting when I fought Tom.
Okay, so how was that then? What was the order that?
At the time of that, that's roundabout when my coaches retired. That was the last fight my coach cornered me on. But I wasn't really training with them because they had retired at that stage. They just said they was going to corner me. So all of my training was done with Sam. All of my training, all of my sparring and MMA drilling was done with Sam. And then I was going to Max Campos in Oxford for my jiu-jitsu and other places for my Thai and boxing and that. So yeah, that was very interesting, finding people I don't know to try and spar with when I know I'm fighting my main sparring partner's brother in the place I worked at, which was even more interesting.
I mean, I don't know. What was that even like for yourself, having to fight Tom after having known everything you knew about how he sparred and who he was as well? Again, he's not just an opponent; it's a friend, it's a person. Like,
well,
how was that?
I didn't actually know Tom at the time. I just had Sam saying, "Oh yeah, my brother Tom, he's a lot better than me, and he kicks the shit out of me." So I was there like, yeah, I was there like, cool, when you kick the shit out of me. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah,
literally.
And then I had James Price ring me, and he's like, "You're the champ at 61. Do you want to fight Tom? Can't get him to fight anyone else. You'll be doing me a favor." And yeah, and I was like, screw it, got nothing to lose. If I beat him, I've beaten an unbeaten guy who's really good. If I lose to him, I lose against someone that's really goddamn good. So yeah, I've just got to go out there and fight.
How long ago was that one?
I have no idea. A long time ago.
I was going to say.
I was a lot of punches to the head ago.
I was going to say, last time I saw Tom fight was the battle arena I was on. And the guy afterwards was very sad afterwards in the changing room. He had ice packs everywhere. And I thought, oh, that poor bastard. I've been that guy, but not as bad as that. For anyone who doesn't know Tom Creasy, that's the biggest problem. He is the best fighter you've never heard of. He's just...
Oh, he's an animal.
He's terrifying.
Yeah, the other thing about Tom is he starts off with a good pace. It's not outrageously high, but it's very good. And then he stays. It doesn't drop off. And his power doesn't drop off. And he just stares at you and you go, cool, I'm done.
You know about it. Okay. So do you knock me out with a head kick, punching the belly? See, I'm just here. I'm here for the ride.
When I done my first IMAF I did was for the Euros. And I was fighting at 61 for that one, because that's just what they asked me to fight at. And that's when I did a lot of sparring with Tom for that, in preparation for that. Just after he kicked the crap out of me. So yeah, it was good. I'd say I'm good friends with Tom now. And I'd love to train with him as and when I can. But yeah, it was a tough fight. It was tough to swallow.
Well, again, it's a very important thing in itself, because again, this is where you learn how these styles can match up. You know, these experiences. For example, go back to start the conversation talking about your pro debut potentially against someone you train with. You know what it's like to fight with someone you train with.
Yeah.
You've known other people. You've had this experience, and again, it's how you can use that and adapt with it. And again, you can then be that guy who, oh shit, I used to train with that guy. He beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
You can be the Tom Creasy in this scenario.
The thing is, though, everyone says you learn from a loss, but I did actually, from watching it back, I can see now opportunities that I had, things that I rushed, and then even talking with him when we was training about that fight, about things that he thought where he was not in trouble, but he was like, this was unexpected. So that's always reassuring to know where you're building up from.
Definitely. And I'll tell you one last thing before we move on from Tom is he asks everyone for feedback after his rounds.
Yeah.
He means it sincerely. He'll ask you what he's done wrong. And for someone who's beaten the shit out of you to then say, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? I don't want to give you any answers. I just maybe punch less. That'd be quite nice. And maybe don't hit me.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I still got teeth, so I don't know. Try for that.
I'm still alive. Maybe you can sort that out, but I guess not. But regards of IMAF prep versus normal prep, because people aren't aware, IMAF is it back-to-back days or is it the same day fight over again?
I think, I don't know what it's like now, but when it first started, it was over 3 days. So depending on how many people you had, so I know there was a couple of guys had 2 fights in a day. And then the next day had 2 fights, I think, then the final. And then other days it's 1 fight for 5 days, and that's it. And then you have a rest on the 6th day. 7th day is the final. So when I did it in Vegas, I had 2 fights back to back, 2 days in a row. Then it would have been a rest day, then the final. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure how they're doing it right now.
But yeah, the main premise is it's not just the one fight in itself. Because again, normally you train, you'd peak yourself to get to a certain point, and then it's the one event, and that's it. It's your moment. But
and you have no idea who you're fighting either.
Fuck that. I mean, I say fuck that. It's kind of ideal to an extent. I can't help but feel that when you have one opponent, you can't help but obsess over them. How did you find that transition opposed to the normal one opponent at a time kind of thing?
I like it because, like you said, like I said earlier, you might know someone's got a killer right hand, so you're like, I'm going to do what I can, and you start obsessing over that right hand to the point where you're probably going to get clipped with it. You have no idea who you're fighting. So even you can research people that are going to be in your category, but when the draw gets picked out, you don't know that they're going to be in the same side of the bracket as you. And like when I did the Asian Open in Singapore, there was some Kazakhstan guys there, and I can't even spell their name, let alone look it up.
That's they got wrestling.
Yeah, you just got to fight. That's why I like it. You just got to fight. So it makes you focus on what your strengths are. A is your strength, so you're going to go to A, and you're going to work that, and you're going to make sure you can get to there every single time. And yeah, it's just a grind. I like it.
Now, with that being said, again, that kind of not the pressure off as such, but the focus is more on you than it is on them. Would you not take that approach more with your own fights, regardless of the opponent at that stage?
There's a lot more things you've got to think about when you're just fighting one person. Mm-hmm. So with the IMAFs, you get told, like, first fight, they don't start Diazing it and just in the middle and slugging it out, because you're going to have a medical after that fight. You're going to have a medical the next morning. So you may have a black eye after the fight. The next morning it's closed. You're out of the competition. So you've got to be a bit more methodical of how you're going to fight. Like, I had 2 hard fights in the World Championships. Come the 3rd fight, my back was just done. It was so tight, I couldn't really squeeze. And that's just because I had 2 full fights. If I'd have finished them earlier, I might have been a bit looser. Whereas you fight one person, cool, he's got no cardio. If I grind this into the 3rd round, I'm going to be able to finish him. or if I blitz him in the first round, I can finish him. So it plays differently that way as well.
That is really interesting, actually. Again, you're being concerned about the damage you're taking, and then you get the whole thing. If I'm holding back so much in the first round, I might not have that second fight full stop, let alone be ready for it, despite me
Exactly.
holding back for it. Yeah, it's an interesting way how you sort of strategize for that. Now,
Yeah.
regards of taking the step to then go to IMAF, what in sort of incited that as such?
If I'm being really honest, I think it was a Facebook post, and it was saying Team UK gonna go fight in Vegas on UFC Fight Week, and I thought that sounded like fun.
It does sound like fun.
So I applied to that for the first year, didn't get in, and then did the Euros 2015, and then did the Worlds 2016. Just because, well, there's not many people that can say they fought in Vegas on UFC Fight Week in a UFC cage.
That's pretty gangster.
Yeah.
That is pretty gangster. I mean, even that's like a huge cage for you to sort of to fight in. How did you find that? Because obviously, AMI cages are like, in a phone box essentially. Let
Yeah,
alone.
it was. I don't think the cages were overly huge for that one. For them, because they had 3 cages going on at the same time. They were still pretty big. That makes no difference to me really about how big or small the cage is. I know what I want to do, so I've just got to do that. That's pretty much it, really.
But again, it's kind of the point that you sort of know how you're going to do, sort of adapt it and work around it.
Exactly. Like I'm not going to be there going, oh, the cage was 26 foot, so I couldn't do a double leg. Yes, you can.
I'll drag my 25-foot strategies out the window now.
Yeah. 25 foot, what are you going to plan to do? Running a marathon? It doesn't matter.
Do some laps.
Yeah. Just do what you need to do, and that's it. Don't be an idiot.
So there's a few questions I've got, just general sort of, I don't know, want to sort of pick your brain on when it comes to actually walking out and having the moment. In your head, what keeps you in a sort of composed headspace to try and perform? Because again, with the weight of the world on your shoulders before a fight, how do you keep, I don't know, keep your head screwed on?
That's an interesting and a difficult question because it changes. So let's take Tom, for example. I was fighting in my workplace, in my hometown, against a guy that is a monster. That was just, coach, can I win? Yes. Let's just fight. Let's just do what I can do. When I went to World Championships, my first fight got drew against the 2014 champion. In 2015, he lost in the final to split decision, and that was his only loss. And he was pretty much picked as he was going to walk through to gold. So I was expected, I was pretty much writ off. And I promised my nan that I was going to come home with a medal. So that was it. I was just there, like, you promise your nan you're going to come home with a medal. So don't be a bitch, come home with a medal. That's pretty much it. And funny thing about that, he was dominating for me for 2 rounds. And the American team actually put out a tweet saying Carlos Hernandez wins by unanimous decision. And then I broke his arm.
Yeah, I saw the topology. I thought, okay. I mean, that's not a very good unanimous decision with a broken arm and, tapping as well. But I like how it's the higher thing at that point. Because again, if it's just this moment in itself, it's a very overwhelming process. But the fact you've had obviously a nan and everything else is very much, this is bigger than me. This isn't about me. I don't care about what happens with me. I need to make sure it's for her. It's for something bigger.
Yeah.
And we gotta go.
I try not to think about the fight because then I just overly think it. I'm like, oh wait, yeah. What if I can't take him down, or what if I can't knock him out? What happens then? So I'm more thinking about, okay, why am I fighting? All right, cool. This fight is for a title. There's so and so in the crowd that I need to impress, or whatever it is that I need to do. So yeah, for me, it's more reminding myself why I do this. And sometimes I do it just because I love it. That's it. My second fight in the in the Worlds was, I've beaten the #1 guy. I'm in Vegas. This is fun. I'm just gonna fight. This is what I've dreamed of. So fuck it, let's go.
Smell the roses. Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful way of explaining that, because again, it's, as much as this is horrible, you remember what you asked for and why you asked for it.
Yeah,
Like, shit, this is terrifying. Wait a minute. This makes me feel something. This makes me feel
yeah,
excited. All this energy. I don't get this from doing a 9 to 5 office job. I get this doing what I'm scared of, and I love it. I mean, that's
yeah,
a powerful thing, man. That's so good. And the fact you'd be able to appreciate that in the moment is even better. Like, that must be like something you would like take to the grave as well. Something you really, I don't know, that sort of snapshot moment. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Um,
Because in that second fight at the Worlds, I think it was the end of the second round. I was just enjoying it. I was feeling the moment, and John Maguire was in my corner, and he slapped me because he didn't think I was paying attention. And we had a little bit of an argument, and then the third round happened, and I had a fight. So yeah, it's just little things like that that I'll remember forever.
Getting slapped in an MMA fight, I can't help but feel like a score is like a significant strike against you, like added from the thing. And John Maguire's will probably knock you out. It's like, okay, wait a minute, get up, get up, get up. It's almost time, get the fuck back up.
Yeah, he literally he was
What
there
you
like
the burnies?
he slapped me, and I was like, "You just fucking slap me." He's like, "Yeah, pay attention." Oh, dickhead. He goes, "Yeah, go fight." I'm like, "All right then." And that was the corner advice. It worked.
But this is the problem. It's like, okay, now that worked. Every second round of every fight, you're like, shit, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He's just gonna clout me. No, I'll promise I'm awake. I'm awake. Leave me alone. Just running away. But no, again, it's sometimes you need this sort of things. But again, that experience is so beautiful. Having that kind of being present,
Yeah.
being so in the moment, and not letting the fear overwhelm it. That's wonderful. Now, with the same kind of vein of question, is the same for during fight camp, because again, when you're in there, you kind of autopilot, you have to crack on. But when you're X amount of weeks out, how is your head when it comes to the prep? Are you quite overwhelmed by it? Is it all right? How do you find it?
Yeah, no, I tend to get overwhelmed by the training. Trying to structure it all in. Am I training enough? Do I have time to fit this in? So that's where Stu comes in handy, because he'll just be there like, chill out, just relax. You've done this amount of training today, take tomorrow off. He's good at calming me down, making sure, and just remind me of, you're doing enough. Sorry, you're doing enough, and you're working hard. Like, there's nothing more you can do to your training than what you're doing every day. Because otherwise, you just tend to, or well, I tend to, just panic. You should be training 4 or 5 times a day.
Hill sprints every other week, every other
Yeah,
hour.
exactly. And one of the ways that I was at Tiger Muay Thai for a while, and being out there with some of those guys, you learn that sometimes less is more. You'll do your 2-3 good sessions a day, and you'll chill out. And that's you need to do. You don't need to be looking at video all the time. You just need to be focused on those training sessions and making sure those training sessions are gold, rather than having like 3 crappy ones because you're not actually focused.
Well, I think that takes a lot of, I don't know, maturity and sort of understanding. Also, having had the mistakes in the first place, again, burning out, the injuries and that kind of stuff. Because to say it very trivially, oh yeah, you take time off, saying yeah, that sounds nice, but if you're thinking shit, I've got to fight, I can't miss a session. Like,
Yeah,
very different. To be able to settle as well, like,
yeah.
it's not what you want. Now, in that sort of thing, when you're switched off from training, having these time off, are you trying to completely switch off, like not even think about it? You just playing card, or what are you doing? You just switching off? What is it?
For me, on my rest days, yeah, it's just trying to be a normal person. I'm going to go out, have a nice day out, something like that. Do whatever it is I want to do, but I'm not really thinking about fighting. Obviously, if I'm dieting and stuff like that, I keep to the diet, but I'm not I don't want to think about fighting. I just want to completely chill out, I turn off for the day, and then I go back the next day, refreshed, like physically and mentally refreshed. Because there's been times where I may have taken 2-3 days off training because of injury or whatever, but I haven't mentally refreshed. I'm still mentally burnt out from the past 3 weeks of training, and then when I go back into the gym, I still feel like shit. So yeah, the mental side of the game is a big one for me.
I want to go into this a bit more, but before I do, and before I forget, the sponsor we wanted to mention, the shirt you're wearing now, I believe, is it Envisage?
Yeah, Envisage Sport. They sponsor me with kit, and they're also my management company. They was sponsors for one of the main sponsors for the World MMA Awards this year. Yeah, so it's good, and as if by magic, I have some of their pre-workout coffee here.
Oh wow, what a surprise! How
Yeah,
convenient.
I don't know where that came from. It's kind of like appeared. But one of the best things about this is that bit right there. It's the informed sport. So every single batch that goes out is tested. So there's never going to be any issues with tainted supplements. And you'll know that what is on that label is actually what's going in. So, yeah.
For everyone listening, whenever a fighter ever mentions a sponsor, it means the absolute world when you get some sort of engagement, albeit likes, follows, things like this. Because again, without the brand sponsoring the fighters to help give them the platform, these things don't happen. Then the grassroots don't build, then the professionals don't get made, and then the standard isn't there. Again, it doesn't have to be buying all the stuff if you can't afford it. But again, social media sharing, that stuff is all completely free. And that sort of stuff really helps, again, show the brand that the fighter is be able to draw that kind of engagement, that kind of insight is always worth it. Links to that will be in the description as well. I'll mention my sponsor now. Fuck it, why not? The English Hypnotist. Again, I've gone in quite a lot of detail about the hypnosis session I had with Richard. But what it generally is understanding the mental side to you, where you fall short in certain areas, how you can develop certain things like the podcast, for example, myself, fighting, performing. Again, a lot of people are victims of self-sabotage. You sort of on the moment you don't show up. Have a conversation with Richard and you'll get some answers. It's really interesting. Yeah, that'll be in the description as well. So on the topic of mindset, do you have sort of prompts as such? Because again, much as you said when it came to iMath, it was about your nan, it's about these sort of things that this is why you do it. Is it a case of you feel a certain thing and then you've got a cue to then, okay, there's time to do A, then do B, and then I'm ready to go? How do you like to process this? I don't know, when you're overwhelmed.
To be honest, when I'm overwhelmed in camp, usually it's a sign of I need a day off. And if my head really isn't right after that day, I'll take another day off. Or when I say take a day off, I don't mean take a day off training. I might go for a hike, or I might do some exercise, but it's non-fight related. Just to reset my head. Then once my head's reset, cool, I can go back in there and I can train and I'm happy. Fight day, it's eating flapjack, shitting myself, and then overthinking. And usually all that disappears when the ref says fight, because you're like, well, I've done everything I could possibly do. Now I've just got to fight. Try and do what I've worked on. I've just got to give everything I've got. And something that sounds really cliched, but it's not in your hands anymore. You've got to fight. And yeah, if you've done enough, it goes in your favor. If not, then well, you just got to try again. And that's the biggest thing to remember, is that you just got to try again. It's not that one fight and you're done. There's always more. Well, unless you haven't like broken your face. But yeah, there's always more.
There's something to say about earned confidence. That obviously it's the whole thing that you get. Obviously, people have different areas of nerves and certain things, are sat in the other, the what ifs and all that. But again, I can't help but feel when you know you've done all you've done, you haven't skipped. You may skip the odd session, obviously injuries and stuff, but again, you haven't like left stones unturned, all this kind of stuff. You kind of know. like, again, you can't lie to yourself, and
Yeah.
it's an interesting one how you can actually accept it. So when I say this very deliberately, everyone knows you can't control certain things, let them go. That's very flippant. It's not that easy. Like, don't worry about it. Oh, really? Fuck, if only I thought of that. No,
Yeah.
no, I still am panicking. But to actually genuinely think, okay, this is how it is,
Yeah.
it's a very different thing. It takes a lot of experience, I'd
I've
imagine. Have you always been like that?
I've had it both, where I've gone into a fight where I'm like, I've done everything I can. Um, right down deep inside me, I know I've won this fight. Like, not taking it for granted, but I've done everything I can, and I'm confident I'm going to win this fight. And then I've lost it, and I've been there. Like, I don't know how this happened, but I've also had it where, again, I've done everything I possibly can do, and then I've won the fight. Um, so it's kind of learning from that to expect nothing. I'm going in there to do my job and enjoy it. And yeah, if I get that win, which I'm trying to do, that's the goal. If I get that loss, making sure I did everything I could have done. Like, making sure, like you said about that armbar right at the beginning. Yeah, there was a part of me that was like, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable. And I was like, well, no,
It's just a
shut up.
bit.
I was like, no, shut up. You can, like, no, you can escape this. Get out. So it's yeah, I don't expect to win or to lose. I go in there expecting to do what I've done in training, and to, yeah, just trying to implement things and kind of show off but not show off. This is where you can show what you've been training. This is where you can show that boxing you've been working on, or that jiu-jitsu you've been working on. It's where you show what you can do.
And again, it's very easy to say, but to appreciate what that actually means and what that actually took at that point is a very different thing. And you hear a lot of people say it's not the result they focus on, it's the performance. And that's always a nice sort of area to sort of really control. But even then, like, I like the way you're saying about showing off, because as much as it isn't look at me, but to an extent it is. Why
Yeah,
not? Fuck it. You've been training hard as whatever else and sacrificing. There's your moment. You've got the lights on you, got your abs out finally after, shedding off the pizza weight. Fucking show them off. Crack on with it. You've been
the
hitting pads.
amount of times you hear in the backstage, like, oh, maybe I can get a nice profile picture out of this. Like, oh, this looked good on the ground.
I mean, not the
Yeah,
priority, but yeah.
it's, well, one, like a lot of us, that's how we deal with the nerves, is just making jokes and stuff like that. Because that's one thing I massively do. I just talk shit and make jokes. I was in Singapore with Ben Robson, and I can remember saying to him, he was prepping for his fight, and I was there like, oh, Ben. He goes, what? I was like, that Australian bird's banging. And he goes,
Crikey.
I'm going to be fighting in like 2 fights time. I was like, yeah, same. But she's still banging.
I'm gonna impress her. Watch.
But yeah, that was literally just me um, dealing with the nerves of just sort of like messing about. Uh, but yeah, she was banging.
Truth. Let's not get into offensive accents. We're here to make friends, not lose them. We'll see what's what. But again, it's the end. Is you've got to be you. You've got to let out how you're feeling, whether it is, whether it's nervous energy, whether you've got to, do your own thing, or you don't want to be with people. Again, it's how you sort of deal with it.
Yeah.
And the point is, you've had these fights, these various experiences, and how you process them. You've learned what works for you, what doesn't, and again, what might work for another day. And this
Oh
is
yeah, I've had it where, like I said, I'll just talk a load of crap, make a load of jokes, but then other fights just leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to go through it in my head. And I've had wins and losses on doing both those things. So it's just whatever I'm feeling on the day is how I'm going to react. But like, it's no massive secret. One of my biggest things is jiu-jitsu. And they always say jiu-jitsu will kill your ego. That's a massive lie. So the biggest lie in jiu-jitsu is there's no ego. It's a massive ego.
It's huge. It's
Jesus. Yeah, you can't be a champion without an ego.
Well, put it this way: if you accept the level you're at, you'll stay at the level you're at. If you don't think you're better than you are, you won't push to be that level. I'll tell you what now. You get a belt promotion, you think you're at that level, you get the belt, you're like, okay, shit, am I actually at this level? You watch yourself get better quickly. You need to. You fucking catch up.
Yeah. Like Max likes to say, no one's gonna pass my guard. No one's gonna pass my guard. I say to him all the time, I'm gonna pass your guard, Max. I'm gonna pass your guard. And yeah, that's my goal at the minute, is to pass his guard and then retire because he's gonna beat me up. But yeah.
Go out the shield. There you are.
Yeah, it's pretty much, you have to believe it. If you don't believe it, then why are you fighting?
Not even that. Like, if you don't believe it, why would anyone else believe it? Like, why would anyone support you if you don't believe you? Why would you not support yourself?
Yeah.
Exactly that. And on that wonderful note, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your birthday. Social media, my friend, where can people find you?
I'm only on Instagram. It's Josh1Neale, I think. 100% sure. Yeah, pretty sure it is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My management and sponsor is Envisage Sports. Go check them out. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Links to those will be in the description. Be sure to check out Josh and Envisage. Drop them a follow, drop them a likes. Again, any engagement is always supported. It definitely shows some value to the fight. And again, it's one of those things. It's always a nice thing to sort of support the community. Fisticuffs, shorts, and rash guards are now out. They look fantastic, modeled by yours truly and a few of various people. English to sponsor the podcast. Be sure to drop them a follow, drop them a message, drop them a like. And I don't know. Well, what else do we leave it on? So stay safe, stay grateful, and always, someone else.